on it.
Canadians to believe that the guys who paid for his vacation, that he didn't know that they were donors to the Trudeau Foundation. He asked Canadians to believe that he didn't know that Beijing had given $140,000 to the Trudeau Foundation to influence him, even though the donation was processed and signed off on by his own brother. But nothing tops this. He now expects Canadians to believe that he didn't know that the Trudeau Foundation was holding meetings in his office. Does he even know what goes on in his office?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've repeated many times in this House and out of it, for about 10 years now, I have had no engagement, direct or indirect, with the Trudeau Foundation.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
No engagement except for Trudeau Foundation donors pay for his vacations. No engagements except for the only two people he will allow to investigate foreign interference are from the Trudeau Foundation. No engagement except for intelligence reports show that Beijing gave $140,000 to the Trudeau Foundation to influence him, a donation facilitated and signed off on by his own brother. And now no engagement except that he hosts them for meetings in his own office. Was there no other office space available anywhere in Ottawa, Mr. Speaker?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while Conservatives continue to focus on me and attacks on my family, we're going to continue focusing on delivering for Canadians, delivering on affordability, by delivering dental benefits that the Conservatives voted against, investing in health care in ways that Conservatives have stood against, moving forward on affordability by being there to support Canadians from coast to coast to coast with targeted measures that are helping 11 million Canadians, including the grocery rebate. We're also moving forward on creating great jobs for the middle class by investing in a clean, green economy with positive impacts right across the country. This is what we're focused on.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we all know that nobody focuses more on the Prime Minister than he focuses on himself. He, meanwhile, expects us to believe that this foundation, named after his family, has donors that pay for his vacations, $80,000 in free vacation benefits, that they take donations from Beijing, facilitated by his brother, which intelligence officers say were designed to influence him, and now that he hosts the same foundation with his top officials in his own office. How dumb does he think Canadians are to believe that?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting the lengths to which the Conservatives will go to not talk about the budget we just delivered for Canadians. A budget focused on three large themes. Investing in affordability for Canadians, to be there to support while they're actually struggling through difficult times right now as we build a stronger economy for the future. Being there on health care with historic deals signed with the provinces, with investments in dental care that the Conservatives continue to stand against. We're going to continue building a stronger economy for the future because we know that fighting climate change and investing in the greener economy go hand in hand for the middle class.
The Honourable Leader, the Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, a cultural moment. Do you remember Calimero, a little duckling that went in its shell everywhere and no one ever said anything to him? So he was totally unaware of everything, blissfully unaware. Everything happened without his knowledge. The Prime Minister reminds me of this character. This character who always said it was unfair, that everything was really just too unfair. But now the Prime Minister does know what's going on. The Prime Minister has read the papers. 5 deputy ministers met in his office with the foundation named after his father. So can he really claim to not know what happens in his own office? Before going to the Prime Minister, I would like to remind members that to mock one another is unparliamentary. We shouldn't call each other names. Just a reminder for both sides, for the upcoming questions and also for upcoming answers. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc continues to attack the Trudeau name in every way they can think of. They have been going after my father for a long time. Now they're going after me. While they're busy with that, I'm going to continue doing the work that Quebecers and Canadians elected me to do. I will improve quality of life. I will create a green and clean economy, a strong economy. I will continue this work. And as the leader, party leader knows, I haven't had any direct or indirect ties to the Trudeau Foundation in 10 years. The member for Belleuil-Chambly. This is very worrisome. I don't attack the Prime Minister's father, because the Prime Minister's father did not host the Trudeau Foundation and 5 deputy ministers in the Prime Minister's office and then say he didn't know about it. This Prime Minister knows that the meeting occurred. It takes a lot of authority and knowledge within the Prime Minister's office to host a meeting with 5 deputy ministers. So shouldn't the Prime Minister know what happened during the meeting? And we want to know what occurred during the meeting. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've said and as I will continue to repeat, for 10 years now, I've had no direct or indirect ties with the foundation which bears my father's name. On this side of the House, we are working hard on bringing down the cost of life, on making our economy greener. We are investing to get results. We are investing to improve healthcare and investing in dental care. These are our priorities. While the opposition focuses on me, we will focus on Canadians and Quebecers. Mr. Speaker, in the words of Isabelle Hachey of La Presse, the Trudeau Foundation is a catalogue of friends of the Liberal Party. A catalogue, Mr. Speaker, that is not subject to the law on political party financing. What a good idea it is, then, for a foreign power to contribute to this catalogue of friends of the Liberal Party while the Liberal Party is in power. And that's exactly what China has done. Why does this government refuse to acknowledge that the Chinese authorities' donation to the Trudeau Foundation could only have been aimed at getting into the Prime Minister's good graces? The Honourable House Leader of the government. I was former executive director for a foundation. For any type of foundation, the rules in Canada are very strict. These rules exist in order to ensure that all foundations are independent and are not influenced. This applies as well to the foundation that the member across the way is attacking. It is a foundation which grants scholarships for students to study. And it is an independent foundation, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Trois-Rivières. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We don't need any lessons from them about independence. The connection between the Liberals and the Trudeau Foundation is so obvious that even former scholarship recipients are now embarrassed to be associated with the foundation. It's obvious when you know that the foundation was invited to a meeting inside the Prime Minister's office. It's obvious when you know that the Prime Minister's office is informed of the donations that the foundation receives. The Prime Minister's reporter on Chinese interference came from the foundation, and everyone knows that it'll be impossible to get to the bottom of the interference with someone that comes from a foundation that itself benefited from the interference. Everyone understands that except the Liberals. Why don't they understand? The Honourable Minister of Heritage. Well, maybe he'll understand what Chantal Hébert said. They were in the building 3 times. They met with deputy ministers. They never met with the Prime Minister, but Chantal Hébert said that it is very possible that the Prime Minister didn't know that the meeting with the deputy ministers even occurred. So, does the Bloc feel that Chantal Hébert is also part of this conspiracy? The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, according to La Presse, 30 people have fled the Trudeau Foundation in the last 2 weeks. The newspaper quotes one of them. I feel like I've been burned, they say, because at the end of the day, it's not true that it's nonpartisan. Mr. Speaker, the Trudeau Foundation is a nest of Liberals, which is precisely why China has been trying to get closer to the foundation since the election of this Liberal government. It is therefore obvious that anyone from the Trudeau Foundation is not fit to investigate Chinese interference. When will there be a public and independent commission of inquiry? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. Mr. Speaker, There are rules which protect the independence of all foundations of all types in Canada. These rules are very strict, among the strictest in the world. It is thus unacceptable to attack an independent foundation which has no connection to the Prime Minister. This foundation grants students scholarships. This foundation ensures that the next generation, members of the next generation, will have the funds they need to study and become leaders in our country. It is unacceptable to attack that kind of an independent foundation, Mr. Speaker.
The Beijing Communists laundered money into the Trudeau Foundation to gain influence with this Prime Minister. Foundation members who received Beijing's foreign influence cash were then handpicked by the Prime Minister to investigate the foreign interference their foundation facilitated. The PM unbelievably claims he has no ties to the Trudeau Foundation, yet his office hosted a meeting between foundation leadership and top government bureaucrats. When will the Liberal NDP alliance end the cover-up and call for an independent investigation into foreign investigation, one that is without the taint of the Trudeau Foundation?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, of course, the member would be aware that it wasn't his office; it was the building, and that many things happen in the in his building and in everybody's building. I don't know if he's aware of everything happens in his office building, but these were meetings with public servants that had nothing to do with the Prime Minister. And the thing that I find disturbing is they keep attacking a foundation when we have rules in this country, the strongest in the world, to protect the independence of our charities. And the foundation, the charity they're attacking, their job is to give scholarships to students so that they could be our future leaders. They don't care who or what they attack. Their partisan games continue, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Well, Mr. Speaker, here we go again. It's just a building again, Mr. Speaker. To acquaint the Government House Leader, maybe he's never been there, the building is called the Prime Minister's office. It's a 4-story building. Everybody who works in that building is either exempt staff of the Prime Minister or a member of the Prime Minister's own department. It's not like an apartment building where you just rent one space in it and don't know what else goes on. This is the Prime Minister's own office. The Trudeau Foundation met with 5 deputy ministers in the Prime Minister's own office. The Prime Minister is a member of the Trudeau Foundation, and he's trying to cover this up. Why won't he tell the truth?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's been made clear, first of all, that he is not an active member at all of the Trudeau Foundation. He has been independent from that for more than 10 years. But what this member continually does, and I don't know how much time he spends on subreddits and 4chan, but instead I think he should spend some time looking at facts, Mr. Speaker. And the facts are that we have some of the strictest rules for charities anywhere in the world, and attacking charities on baseless information and misrepresenting, he knows full well that the building that the Prime Minister in, yes, it has PMO, it also has PCO, and like his building, lots of things happen in different buildings, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Mégantic. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. No one believes the Prime Minister when he claims that there was a wall between him and the Trudeau Foundation. There was a window that was wide open to the Beijing regime, and they obviously see this as an entry to the Prime Minister. They provided a check for $200,000 to the Trudeau Foundation with Beijing's money. Could the Trudeau family explain how they used the Trudeau Foundation to finance the Prime Minister? The Honourable Government House Leader.
In totality, the idea that this government would ever allow itself to be influenced by a foreign power, the idea that would take place is absolutely ridiculous and offensive. But I would say, Mr. Speaker, let's talk about the walls that protect our institutions. Let's talk about the wall that's supposed to exist to protect our public broadcasters, CBC and Radio Canada, that they want to tear down, that they want to destroy, that they're talking with foreign tech giants about how to get rid of a public broadcaster. Let's talk about the wall that exists between monetary and fiscal policy in this country and what they want to do to the Bank of Canada. If they want to talk about destroying walls, Mr. Speaker, let's talk about what their plans are, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable.
service canadien.
Between CSIS and the government House Leader, I would pick CSIS. So the main goal of the donation was to influence the current Prime Minister. That's what they said in La Presse aujourd'hui. It said the Prime Minister may swear that there's a Chinese wall, but it's not just Beijing that's been raining money down since Trudeau took power. When will he finally admit that he is a Prime Minister who's under the influence of a foreign power because of his association with the Trudeau Foundation? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, it's not a matter of I'm not the one who's answerable here. It's the Canadian law that protects the independence of any old foundation in Canada. Any type of foundation is protected by law. Its independence is protected by law, and it's irresponsible, wholly irresponsible, to attack a foundation that's responsible for student grants and bursaries, and to attack the future leaders of our country, Mr. Speaker.